since we met, I noticed a shift in my own state, and I was actually living in New Zealand a little over a month ago, and I remember when we first met, when we spoke, the chair that I was in actually retained the energy of like our interaction, and that space actually became like a nice space to sit in. So I just sit there and meditate, and just sit and be peaceful and joyful in that space. So yeah, okay. So I have a bunch of questions for you. I'm gonna try and be as practical and as to the point as possible, and find out how you did it, how you in your life, how you came to be, or it's how you came to exist within these higher states and feel these higher states on a regular basis, and make it really practical. Because spiritual ideas, I've listened to a million spiritual ideas, but unless you make it practical, it's all useless. It's all just words coming out of a mouth. So what drove you to want to be enlightened? What is it, what point in your life did you think, and how did it affect your state at the moment? How did you get from really wanting to be in that higher state to now being in higher states of mind consistently?
It started with suffering, catalyst. Yes, just not wanting to live and just being in a constant state of duality. And yes, lessons of family dysfunctionality, lessons of self-love, of forgiveness, a lot of suffering into realizing and shaking me up that wasn't the way to live. And suddenly that was my first awakening when I was 18 years old. And from there, just started receiving messages from higher beings and light beings that were guiding me into, okay, you're not just a physical vessel, you're a light being that came here to earth just to have an experience of allowing self-realization, of allowing these lessons and be part of the ascension of all the beings that are open to receive these teachings. And that's the long story short.
Okay, amazing. So what are some of the tools that made your journey easier along the way?
Well, the first tool was just trusting the guidance. I was channeling information, so I started automatic writing and just keep receiving guidance from my higher self, which is always me from the future, expressing what exactly are the steps that I need to take to unfold my next portal. That's how I call it. I feel it's just being in a place of learning, and then whenever the lessons learned, you open a new portal and then you come into a higher reality. One of those higher realities or portals for me was a 12-step group. I was guided through the channeling that I needed some beings to hold space for me when I went through my lessons of self-love and forgiveness. So I found a 12-step group where I live. And then I was able to transmute a lot of lower states. And that took me to a place of love and understanding, which I call the fourth density of consciousness. I don't remember, like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. And that was the first permission slip or tool for my ascension.
What is a permission slip?
It is, okay, you are already in a state of enlightenment. That's your natural state, your bliss, your pure consciousness, your God consciousness awareness. But sometimes it's not that easy to reach that state and allow it when you still have traumas or resentments or, yes, stuff that distortions that don't let you allow more light in to be in that self-mastery state of I am bliss, I am God consciousness. So 12 group, it's an amazing permission slip to manifest and project another being, which is just another aspect of yourself, to hold space for you while you release your resentments, you release your traumas, and you let go of some distortions. It brought me closer to the light realization of I am God consciousness.
Okay, so thank you. What is a portal as well? What can you define more succinctly what portal means?
Yes. So we exist in multiple timelines of existence. So there's a version of you that has already everything that you wish to have. Let's say that you wish to create financial abundance, have a loving relationship, have a purpose, freedom, everything that humans want, right? So there's a version of you that it's already experiencing that bliss. So by that desire and that knowingness that there's a version of you in that high state of, let's say, enlightenment or financial abundance, empowerment, manifestation, then you just need to embody that state. And I call it opening the portal. You align your emotions with your intentions and your actions. And then when you vibrate in that frequency, it's like you receive the light key and then the portal opens and you are in that timeline. There's no future, there's no past. Everything happens simultaneously. So when you embody that awareness of, I'm already free, I'm already abundant, I'm already enlightened, then the portal opens and you start vibrating in that frequency and everything you wish comes to you. So it's never an accomplishment or going from point A to point B. Everything's happening right now. It is you realizing, oh, I am everything. And then everything comes to you. So the 12-step group was a permission slip for me to embody more of that. Because when you're in such lower states, like that version of myself in depression, suicidal, etc., I couldn't be like, okay, I just need to open a portal. I need to align my thoughts and my actions. I needed other beings to hold space for me and allow me to transmute and bend all those low emotions for me to be able to, oh, wow, I'm not that. I'm forever unaffected. I'm not my body. I'm not my lessons. I chose to come here to go through those lessons so I can embody more of what I really am: awareness, love, and light.
Okay, thank you.
Far from practical. It is what it is.
I'm sure it is very practical because we're here to learn and to teach, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel like the field or the void? You talk about the void a lot. What is the void all about?
The void is just the state beyond awareness, beyond even God consciousness. So I am God consciousness. You are the light body. And you are all the beings that have always existed. You are all the planets, the stars, the constellations. You see, I love the galaxies. You are planet Earth. So when you realize that you're all of that, then it is like, okay, there must be something else that created all of these things. Who created the planets? Who created the stars? And then you realize, okay, then I am God consciousness. So I am everyone and everything. And then you reach this state of unity consciousness where there's no separation between you and me. You are me, I am you. And then from that state of God consciousness, there's even a subtler experience that is like, okay, if I am God consciousness and I am everything, then what is creating God consciousness? And then you realize there's something even beyond that. And I see it like as a fine line in between all that is creation, God consciousness, the planets, the stars, the beings, the star seeds. And beyond that is just, you take like 3 steps to the right or to the left, just doesn't mean anything anyways. And then it's just like this huge void that's like a huge black hole of nothingness, resting awareness. And then you can dissolve into particles that it's what you truly are: awareness, love, light. And then just rest in this void. And the more you anchor that state, the more you feel that high bliss and peace and unity with everyone and everything. And that's the void of nothingness. And from there, everything can be created because you can be in that resting awareness of, I'm nothingness. And then it's like, okay, I want to be God consciousness. I want to create. Let's do something. Let's create a planet. So, yes, it's basically embodying that state, knowing that you're that. And when you know that you're that, when you're on planet Earth doing your mission and playing, everything is just so silly and dreamlike and fun. You don't identify with your body, with your distortions, with the catalysts, with resentments, because that's so small in comparison to what you truly are: nothingness.
Amazing, thank you. Okay, what are some of the things that saved you time? So I always think about saving time. Even Course in Miracles talks about saving time, where you should be engaged in your journey and have that force to go forward, and that it says spirit is waiting for you, and it has so much patience. but it still wants you to go at a more rapid rate towards the light, towards God consciousness.
Mhm.
And what are some of the tools that enable you day to day, or that have enabled you in the past, to increase that speed in which you have got to this bliss state?
Mm. First, coming from the realization that there's actually no time. When you say things like getting rapidly to that enlightenment or that God consciousness, you're already putting a timeline into it, saying that you're here and God consciousness enlightenment, it's here, and then you will always be here. So it's going to be a constant race in between you wanting to be in point B. But when you realize that there's no linear time and it's all just multidimensional, you can be in point A and B simultaneously. And with that realization, you don't need to do actually anything. You just need to release everything you have learned and be like, oh, I am that God consciousness. So that's a realization, a practical tool, cool tool that you can use is just presence. Practice being present in everything that you're doing. When you see your thoughts going from the future or the past or what I'm going to do tomorrow or what happened in the past that I still haven't forgiven myself, etc., then be like, okay, I'm getting into linear time again. I'm placing point A and point B, and I have to create a race or a movie of struggle to get to where I want to be. No, it's like, okay, that's not truth, because that doesn't feel good. Whenever you get in tune with your emotional guidance system and you receive a contraction, that means that you're not in alignment with higher self. So you take yourself out of the future and past, which creates just anxiety or longing and desire, and you stay present and like, okay, I let go of my future, I let go of my past. That doesn't exist. I just have the now moment. And in this now moment, I am all that is. I am God consciousness. I am enlightenment. And even if you don't believe it at the beginning, because it's like, okay, you're still carrying that or it's still in the future, keep repeating it and bring presence to it. So that's why meditation, it's such a beautiful tool for that. Before fully embodying this state, I meditated probably for 3 years, like 3 hours every day. Probably that doesn't save the time you want to save, but the easiest way is just to realize you are it. Every time you go too much to the future, too much to the past, no, wait. I am it. I am it. I am God consciousness. One day it's going to be embedded and you're going to just wake up like, now I get it. Now I am it.
Amazing. Thank you. How do you see yourself?
As a vehicle, mind, body, spirit complex, an avatar. I don't identify with my body, not even with my mind. I'm just whatever I need to be in that moment to be of service to the being that's in front of me. So, light, love, awareness, mirror consciousness.
And do you fall out of these states? And what do you do if you do fall out of these states?
Right now, it's just a simultaneous knowing. I say, call it the baby self. Whenever the baby self feels a contraction or a tantrum, it's like I can see it in bold letters in front of me, like in text, like, ooh, like that thought is interesting. That's the baby self. Um, yeah, having a distortion or a limiting belief. And instantly I can see that there's a simultaneous higher self that can see the full picture. So it doesn't bring me out of alignment. The baby self can be moved, but the higher self is forever untouched. So when that happens, I just say, thank you so much for showing me what I need to transcend. And it's like the baby self talking to the higher self. Thank you so much. So you train the baby self to be in that awareness, but at the same time, you are the higher self. So it's not you. So that way it's easy to let go of the emotion. Because, for example, if you feel angry, you don't say, oh, I'm angry. You realize the baby self is having the distortion of being angry. What I must be believing about myself that's untrue. That's the first realization. And then thank you so much, because it neutralizes, for showing me what I need to transcend. Am I willing to surrender being angry, for example? Am I willing to surrender being this feeling of unworthiness? And then you say, yes, I am willing. Yes, I am willing. Yes, I am willing. And words don't mean anything. It's just codes, light codes. So by using these light codes, these higher frequencies of neutrality, willingness, and then acceptance and surrender, you're able to transmute the emotions of the baby self. And sometimes even my physical vessel, if it needs to cry to release an emotion, it cries, but it doesn't feel pain. It's just like, okay, I'm releasing the emotion of the baby self. But my highest self, what I truly am, light, love, awareness, is forever untouched, forever blissful, forever in this state of enlightenment. It's just going through those catalysts and those lessons depending on the soul journey of the being.
Okay, so how do you see the world?
Mm. The world. What is the world? The world is just my perception of it, my state of beingness, my consciousness. The world changes as I change myself. If I choose to be love, light, awareness, then the world that surrounds me is just beautiful beings of love and light that give me what I give them because they are me. There's no separation. So the world, it's whatever I choose to be in the moment.
And the inner talk. So Neville Goddard talks about, and many teachers talk about your inner conversation. How does it sound? Like, how do you hear the higher self talking to the baby self? And can you reflect on what that experience is like?
Mm, it's just a simultaneous committee. Like, okay, I'm really visual. So imagine like the baby self and the higher self in my mind's eye, and they're just like talking to each other. And the higher self looks like this enlightened monk, just like levitating. And then the baby self is just like a cute little 5-year-old me, like, mm. So whenever something triggers the baby self, the higher self is instantly like, listen, cute baby girl, or like, sweetie, you know that this is this and that and that. And the baby self is just like, stops crying. And it's like, okay, okay, I understand. And all of that's happening simultaneously while my vessel is just like this. And then I relinquish, and then it stays forever untouched.
Mm. What would you say to someone who's consistently falling out of state or falling into lower states? What would you suggest for them to do? So let's say if someone's being triggered a lot by someone around them or some experience they're having, and they're trying to stay in this state of I am, or this God consciousness, what advice would you give to them?
Devotion and repetition. Mm, I just, well, there's no I, but the field that I chose for this incarnation was completely devoted towards self-realization, transcending levels of consciousness. So if you truly desire, it's just a desire to attain a higher state, keep loving yourself, whatever self means to you. Keep loving your vessel, keep loving your consciousness, keep loving your baby self, keep identifying more with the highest self, and just allow more of it, allow more light, allow more love. Every being's path is different. There are karmic propensities and karmic potentialities. So for enlightenment for one being that may take 1 minute or 1 year, for another being they're more deeper lessons. So if in that incarnation that being shows deeper lessons, then transmute them, make joy out of it, teach them while you're going through them. So in that way, it's going to be a process of allowing more enlightenment for yourself, which is what it already is here, but while transmuting those distortions and helping others along the way. That's a beautiful way to just unclear karmic potentialities, just helping others with what your vessel is going through, because they are you. They're just projections of your soul consciousness. So you chose those lessons for that giving and that allowance. Love yourself and devotion.
How do you love yourself?
Small practices like looking at yourself in the mirror every morning, not identifying with the body, but with the consciousness and saying, I love you, I love you, I love you. You're beautiful, you're divine, you're perfect. I think I can tap into, I don't even remember, like 6 years ago, I had alarms in my phone that woke me up like, I love you, have a wonderful morning, you're so worthy and so deserving. It's just codes. But when there's a millennial of karmic propensities, a millennial of childhood programming for unworthiness and resentments and dysfunctional family, etc., that was my team that I chose. Probably the beings that are watching this also have a similar theme. Then it's about unlearning. Okay, I'm not what my mommy told me, what my dad told me, and the abandonment and rejection, etc. I am God consciousness. I am divine. I am worthy. And how do you truly embody that? Repetition, meditations of I love myself, reminders in your phone. I had postcards. Like I woke up, I remember in my mom's house, and I had like 10 cardboards that said like, I love you. You got this. What are you going to create today? Wake up and be awesome. Remember, you're your higher self. So it goes back again to repetition and devotion. And also being in purpose. Follow your highest excitement. When you follow your highest excitement, you're loving yourself because you are in that frequency of love. Always do something that brings you that love. So you embody that frequency.
So what, it could be anything. So if you live near a beach, you go to the beach to love yourself and to stay in that love. And what are the kind of things that you did to love yourself as well? Like, what would you do on a daily basis to love yourself? What are the kind of, was it small thing, just writing on cards, just telling yourself you love yourself? But did you do some, would you go and take yourself out or?
I have to tap into that because right now it's a state of being. It's embodied. That version of myself, always asking for guidance for a higher self. What do I need to do today? I surrender. I give it over to you. What do I need to do today to love myself more? And then something will come up. How can I stay in that frequency of unconditional love? All with mantras, all with words, all with affirmations, and embodying that frequency. No trust in myself, not looking for outside validation or external factors to feel. That's just no. Knowing that by being in my center and having that communication with higher self, that I'm always taken care of, that there's always this higher consciousness that is leading me through life, then that's the first stage. And that would be a fourth density consciousness, love and understanding. When you know you're taken care of with this highest self, and you can be completely at peace by yourself, having a conversation with this God consciousness that you are.
So you talk about fourth density. What is fourth density?
Those are the teachings of the Law of One. I truly have two biggest impact readings or books, readings, writings in my life. The Law of One, amazing channeled material from these six density beings called Ra, and also all the works of Dr. David R. Hawkins. So Dr. David R. Hawkins is more transcending levels of consciousness in a more wise, practical way. But the Law of One explains that we exist in different densities. Planet Earth is third density of consciousness, duality. You come here to learn lessons of love and understanding, which is the fourth density, when you learn to love yourself, when you trust this higher self, when you start of being of service to others. You start not, you don't perceive separation between you and another. You know you are the other being, so you start being more compassionate, more loving. When you love others, you're loving yourself because giving and receiving is the same thing. But then there's also the fifth density of consciousness, when you embody the light, when you don't need to be completely being out there of service to others and giving because you already embodied unconditional love. You already are that love. So now you take a step back and you are the light, and you can be like the monk, just being the light. And then you transcend that fifth density, and you are the sixth density of consciousness, which is the balance of love and wisdom, which is what I'm embodying now, just love and wisdom, knowing that you are that unconditional love, but you're also that wise monk. Now, with that wisdom, how you're going to be of service in a way that's effective and efficient for the ascension of planet Earth, which right now it's entering into a fourth density of consciousness. But all of these states are inside of you, and you have access to them out of willingness alone and devotion. And those are my understandings of the law of one, not directly what it says.
Okay, amazing. Thank you. If you could go back to like to your previous self, is there anything that you would tell yourself, or that you would more likely to follow, or how would you coach your previous self right now? Would you have done anything differently? Would you have said to that previous version of Nikki that, like, don't do this, do that instead, and save yourself time? Like, talking to someone that may be listening to this video right now, and maybe they're where you were 4 years ago. Is is there anything that you would have said to her even then, about, even after all the stuff you said, that it would save them time to bring them to a state of bliss that much faster?
I think, like, going from the awareness of trying to save time, it's already out of alignment. There's no time. It doesn't exist. It's always a now moment. I wouldn't change anything. Right now, I'm actually coaching my previous self, because your higher self is always you from the future. So from that version of myself that it's going through this, and the awakening and the suffering, and the I don't want to live on earth, or suicidal thoughts, for example, the lowest state, this version is coaching that version with all that I have created now for my life into, like, okay, this is the next step, this is the next move. But highest self, or your oversoul, doesn't really disclose everything at that moment, because sometimes there are some lessons that I chose to come here to learn, because I wanted to embody that and transcend the collective unconsciousness in that particular lesson. So higher self, me, it's wise in how much I'm willing to reveal to my previous version of self, because I want her to go through all that lessons that have come into this embodiment of this version of myself. And my highest self from even the future, which is now, is telling me what to do to go through my lessons. So there's, when you let go of, like, saving time, you don't need to save time. Everything is in divine order, divine will, divine perfection. A beautiful flower unfolding, it's always a beautiful divine flower, even when it's closed and when it's just the stem. No, that's called the stem, well, the root. It's always a perfect flower unfolding. So there's no need to save time or be fast in this. It's knowing that everything is in divine order, and you're going through the lessons that you need to go through in order to be that mission and that dharma that you chose to come here to do on earth. Because if you chose to be here, it's because you have that purpose.
So everyone has an important function here. Everyone has an important reason why they're here, to help not only themselves, but help everyone that they're learning the lessons and transcending their own lessons and sharing that with everyone they meet. Everyone is important here.
Yes, and we're all one. We were all bored of being in this bowl of bliss, just like all unity merch, like bliss, ecstasy, joy, we. And then we were like, okay, this is cool, but what now? So let's create contrast. So it's like a movie, you start the movie, it's all good, the plot, the twist, the climax, blah, 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 then happy ending. It's boring just to be in bliss all the time. Even when I allow those states of, like, bliss and peace, and I could be silent forever, I'm like, okay, no, not yet. I want to create contrast. I want to explore. I want to share with other beings, and probably it's going to evolve into even being more in the backstage of things. But when you chose to come here on earth, even going through your lessons and the suffering, etc., you chose it because you have a version of yourself that's already on bliss. So you wanted to have an experience. You wanted to play the video game. So you may as well just enjoy it while you're here, and know that all the lessons serves this highest purpose. So follow your highest excitement always, so you can learn the lessons quicker. Yeah, I feel that would be the answer. Follow always your highest excitement to learn the lessons quicker. That will lead you to the next higher excitement, to the next lesson. And then you will transcend in an accelerated speed.
Okay. So you're following your highest excitement. Now, I have like I see it in two different ways, because your highest excitement could be not necessarily the best thing for you at the time. Maybe your highest excitement is doing something that is not for your best, or maybe is there a potential to think your highest excitement is to do something distracting, which is exciting, but it's not the thing that you should be doing, or that is for your greatest good. So when might that, like, I give an example. So I have something that I must get done, or there's something that I enjoy doing, but there's something else that, like, okay, I could go to the cinema, or I could go to the beach, or go do something else. Now that is my highest excitement, because I can go and swim, and that's really exciting. That's really nice. But there's also this thing that I feel like I'm inspired to do. But, how do you balance those things where you feel you follow your highest excitement, but you also uh, don't use things in the world as a distraction to follow your true highest excitement? Because your highest excitement in the beginning could be something really, could feel like something that's actually a distraction. So how do you work with that? How do you deal with that in your own life?
Always including people, serving others. Your highest excitement is people experiencing your highest excitement. So if my higher excitement right now is being out of body, then all my sessions in this particular month of the year have been people experiencing my highest excitement. So I take everybody out of body to all the planets, because that's my highest excitement now. If your highest excitement is being at the beach, then it's people experiencing the beach. So you open up a beach business, you sell coconuts on the beach. Always at being of service to others, because that way you giving is receiving. It's a flow of life force energy, and that will fill you with purpose. People experiencing your highest excitement.
So your real highest excitement comes from giving of your heart, giving of your joy, and then receiving that back from others, just as a reflection to your own state of mind.
There's no mind, your own state of beingness, your
Being.
consciousness, and it evolves through time. So the version of myself that was being a fitness coach in that moment, my lesson was I couldn't stay in my perfect fit body in that moment. I was really identifying with my physical vessel. So my highest excitement was people experiencing a sexy body, for example, because that was that moment, those lessons that version of myself needed to learn. After I learned those lessons and I got the body, blah, blah, and I'm like, okay, this doesn't fulfill me anymore, boring. What's my highest excitement now? Okay, I want to create something different. People experiencing that highest excitement. It always evolves. So learn the lesson and then receive the next message.
Okay, thank you. That was just a bird squawking, one of these loud birds here.
Beautiful creation.
Thank you so much, Nikki. So would you like to share with people about your channel and about what you're doing, and just a bit about your work and how they can find you and how they can get in contact with you?
Yes, it's more being a mirror intuitive, so I never know what's going to happen. Whatever the being needs in the next stage for their evolution and ascension into, can be empowerment, manifestation, can be self-realization, then in that moment I'll become that mirror to take them to the next level. So yes, it's just a surprise. And they can find me on Ascend Feminine channel, ascendfeminine.co, and yeah, I'm sure you're going to post some links in the description.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And yeah, it's been amazing. Some amazing information and stuff that can be applied, I'm sure, to your life. And I wish you a wonderful day. And thank you for watching the Tune to Love channel. And if you'd like to experience more of these states, check out Void Vibrations as well, which we started a collaboration to create these kind of audios to allow yourself to get into the being beingness and to live in higher states more consistently. So thank you so much for listening.